Good morning, everyone. It's Petty Officer Romero with Job Corps. Today's subject, I think, will be a fun one. Probably be almost maybe like a 3-day series of equipment and the things that not only it'll be things that security officers need, and that's what we'll start off with. But I'll progress all the way to equipment used in riots and things like that. Now, keep in mind, most security positions, and we've talked about this numerous times, won't include you doing anything that would really even demand handcuffs, much less, most security is to observe, document, report, not to get in altercations. But if you go out there, there are jobs that are security positions that will train you and require you to perform police-like duties. So, for instance, the thing that comes to my mind, if you work for a casino, the employees at a casino are I don't want to say they're almost police, but they have the responsibilities of not only reporting and watching the employees, but they also go as far as having to remove them. It just there's so much more required by them that is more similar. Maybe that's the right way. More similar to a police officer than you would be, let's say, if you were a security officer over at an office building or something. So let's start off with some of the basic equipment, things like handcuffs, maybe a baton. Maybe even, you don't even think about this as equipment, but as a military person, I don't know what I would have done in many situations without a pair of specific type of sunglasses, without a watch. You don't think about that as police equipment, but you'll find that it's invaluable out in the field to have the right type of equipment. Sunglasses in particular, if you're in a situation where you have, think about anytime you've walked outside and the sun is just, right on the horizon and glaring in your eyes, you can't say, hold on, let's wait a couple of minutes till the sun moves. You have to be able to, perform your operation with the sun. So having a good pair of sunglasses, is absolutely important. If you notice during the riots, police officers having shields to protect them from things being thrown at them, anywhere from paint to all type of irritants, and in some cases, chemicals and things like that. So it could be the whole spectrum depending on who you're dealing with. So, all right, I'm gonna go ahead and share with you some information about basic gear that you're gonna want to need. Here we have this article, and it let's see, it just kind of shares with us the equipment that they feel is necessary, and I kind of agree with them. Depending on your situation, there are different people who have different operations have different requirements. So, all right, it says the 8 must-have items of a security guard. Security guard equipment, clothing. Security guard clothing is one of the most important. Now, I know you're probably like, clothing, of course. No, we're talking about operational clothing. A bulletproof vest. Again, not your average security guard, but let's there's no article that's going to describe the exact job that you'll have, so we have to cover the whole thing. It absorbs the impact of bullets, shrapnel, and critically important pieces of equipment for any working security defense industry. High visibility clothing is also needed in order to increase security guards' visibility, firstly for his safety, but also alert any possible criminals that may be. Security guards are a deterrent, right? Police officers, if you realize this, think about it, they respond to calls and incidents. I would say 80% of the time they respond, 20% of the time they actually see a crime. So security guards are there on the scene, so they can be a deterrent, right? Okay. Let's see. Every person that works in the security industry agrees that boots is an investment worth making, especially if they stand or walk for a long time. So yeah, you're in security. You're going to be standing around quite a bit, so you're going to want to have comfortable shoes, if nothing else, is what they're saying. All right, flashlights. Although flashlights are usually oversized and heavy, they are essential to security guards, even if the security guard's working a day shift. A flashlight can be useful if you find yourself in a difficult situation inside a dark room or area. Let me also point out something to you too. Have you ever noticed how police officers use the flashlight like this as opposed to how your average person, does this? Well, that's so that whenever they're looking, if someone or something happens, you have this big flashlight, pop, you can use it as a weapon. Okay. So I would definitely recommend, especially if you walk around dark areas, you have that flashlight, and walking around, if you're properly trained and you're using the flashlight, and if something does happen and it's dark and you don't have reaction time, you have a weapon in your hand that could at least create some space or give you some time to get away from whatever is happening. Give you separation. It's important to separate so you can either regroup and fight, or separate so that you can get out of there. All right. Defense equipment. Security officers can use a variety of equipment that helps them defend themselves, such as pepper spray, batons, or gun. Defensive equipment prevents officers from criminal attacks and offer means to keep them safe. Whichever you choose, the defensive equipment is a considerable part of the security industry, and you can see flashlight, baton, a digital camera. Most people have their phones on them nowadays, but if the company wants to provide a camera, it's a good thing to have. It just nowadays, most people don't have cameras because the phones actually are just as good as any camera out there. If a guard works at a location where there is no security cameras installed, digital cameras could be their best friend during your patrol. He will be able to use it in any case for immediate recordings, notable events, to take pictures of people and items, capture vehicle movement, or any kind of suspicious activity. It's really a good idea to have a camera. Very handy. Just, listen, your memory can sometimes escape you in these kind of situations. Not to mention, in most security situations, there's nothing's going to happen for long periods of time. So sometimes your mind's not focused on paying attention to details. So having a camera, think about if you just walk around and, it might help you be a better security officer. If you say, man, I'm going to walk on my patrol, meaning if you're walking around an office complex and you just take a picture of anything that seems a little bit out of the ordinary. And what I mean by making you a better security officer is if you don't have the camera and you're not thinking about it, you just walk right by it. But if you have the camera in your hand and you realize like, hey, I'm taking pictures of stuff that's unusual. Now it's in your head that oh, wait, there's something unusual, where you might just walk on by it. If you have the camera, you're looking for things to take a picture of. So you're like, oh, wait, why is that sitting there? Oh, and it might not be an intruder or something. It might be a slip and fall hazard that you're like, man, why is that bucket of water right there? Oh, or man, there's a leak in the ceiling. They have a pan underneath it to catch the water from the leak. Snap a picture, and then 2 weeks later when something happens, you can be like, oh man. So you have the picture, right? But if someone came up to you 2 weeks later asking you detailed information about something insignificant, would you be able to remember? Would you be able to say, yeah, the pan was over here on the third floor? No, I mean, at least I couldn't. You might be able, some people might be a savant and be able to remember all that stuff. I couldn't. Okay. So speaking of, excuse me, remembering things, notepad and pen. Security guards need to keep notes and everything when they take a tour, when you walking your beat. The actions that were held I'm sorry, and it's impossible to take place by memory. Okay, I kind of got caught up in the middle of that sentence. Basically, it's just saying you need to take notes. We talked about that. To read this thing would be is redundant. We've done entire classes on taking good notes. You know, you have to do it. You want to keep a pen handy. You want to, anything that you can document. Look, we talked about just now taking pictures, writing stuff down, time things happen, place things happen. All the information you need, because later on when someone says, you know what, somebody slipped and fell and you were on duty 10 days ago when it happened and we now need to get some information. And then you can go back and say, yeah, here's a picture of the bucket of water that was catching, rain from the leaky roof. And I also documented it. So I have not only the time the picture was taken, but also have it documented in my notes that I saw it and it was there on my shift. So, like comes in handy. Now, if someone's, trying to get over, you can like, man, I walk that beat every day, document all as well. There's no slippage or any signs of there being something that a slip and fall hazard. So the point is you could save the company tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars from false claims if you do your job properly, right? All right, two-way radios. We had a class on comms, right? But it's important to keep a two-way radio on you, especially if you're on a big job. Maybe not as important if you're just, standing a watch in front of just a basic, small shop. But if you're in a hospital and there are 10 other security people, you need to be able to communicate with them. Security guards working at events, and now it's talking about events and stuff, but obviously the bigger the situation gets, the more it comes in handy. Your mobile phone, let's see, even if most of the time security guards use walkie-talkies for communication, cell phones are critical for a quick call at any time. You can put all the important contacts, speed dial, and for faster access. And again, this kind of, it depends on how your company feels about it, because I would tell you most companies probably don't like you walking around with your cell phone in your hand. So now some companies will provide you with a cell phone. It's a work phone, just like a two-way radio, but it's a hairy situation, because if you get certain type of people, they're on their phone constantly. They're not doing work. They're texting, they're playing games, they're whatever. And if you give them the opportunity to just walk around with the phone in their hand and you don't know the difference, then it's hard to have a person. Because, most of the biggest part of being a security officer is observing, is to know what's going on. If you're sitting there with your face in the phone, you're not noticing anything. Okay. All right. So then you have your belt. The heavy duty security belt is the conclusion of all the above equipment for a security guard, because it will hold all the security equipment safe in one place. In today's security world, the security belt will be the guard's initial priority in order to be well organized in their daily duties. All right. So there you go. So you go over, and it has some stuff. There's some other stuff I would include, but again, it who knows what job you'll be on. And that's the thing is, even in operations in the military, when I would go on an op, when my team was on an op, we didn't carry the exact same equipment every time. It's operational specific. If we're going, if you're going on an operation in a desert environment, you're going to dress and everything will be all the way to your weapon, the type of weapons that are most effective in that environment. If you're going to be in a wet environment, then you're going to want to have a weapon and gear that's for that particular environment. So all this stuff, keep in mind. All right, here's something interesting. Go over basic basic security
today
belt.
I will be bringing you a everyday carry video, which is basically showing you guys what I carry every night or every day when I'm at work. And I do unarmed security, so I don't have a firearm yet. But getting into the video, basically everything on my belt is either Uncle Mike's or Bianchi. And then there's some other little cheap stuff that's just in between that I just bought from cheap other law enforcement stores from around the area. Getting into the video, I'm going to start off with the inner lining belt. This is a Velcro inner lining belt that goes in your belt loops, and it connects to the inner side of your duty belt. That way it doesn't move around and wiggle a lot. But the problem is, once you start getting all kinds of stuff on your belt, it kind of covers up the Velcro that's on the back of the belt. So that's why you need to go and get you some belt keepers to keep your belt secure to your inner lining belt. And then on my belt, I will be going from left to right of the things that I carry on it. And starting on my far left, I have my OC spray. And in my holster for the OC spray, and in the OC holster, I carry the Fox 5.3 brand, which is actually my company's policy. Next to it, I have my baton holster. This was actually given to me by someone who previously did security, so I'm not sure what brand it is. And that carries my 21-inch baton. Next to that, I have my Bianchi AccuMo handcuff case, and that has my cheap little pair of ranky-dank handcuffs in it. I've had these since I was young, and basically we never use them, so there's no reason to go out and buy some expensive pair of handcuffs to just sit there and collect dust. But I will be getting a new pair soon. Then next to my handcuff holster, I have this will be in the very middle of my back, and this is just a little, I guess you can say, key holster that I end up putting on here for just in case I have my D mag light. It will slide in there with no problem, just in case I ever needed to go hands-free with anything. I don't know, just an idea I had, but it's something soft that goes into my back, and it's there. And then next to that, I have my walkie-talkie holder, and I'll probably need to be getting a new one here soon, but it was given to me so it works and gets the job done. And that carries my APX 6000 from Motorola. Next to that, I have my flashlight that hooks onto my belt with a little belt clip, and you can see it's starting to eat up my belt a little bit from the tactical grooves on the side. But for that, I use a Bushnell tactical light, and this was about, I believe, $45 from Walmart, and it's pretty bright. The only downside, it dies very fast, and with that dying so fast, I'll have to carry a backup. And as my backup, I carry a nightstick, I believe NSP 430. There you go. Next to my flashlight, I carry my glove pouch, and this carries my black heavy-duty cleaning gloves. And the reason why I carry the heavy-duty ones is because they're thicker and they don't rip as easily. So I feel like that's more protection from the person that I'm touching or whatever I'm touching if I have to use it. Next to my glove pouch, I wear my Bianchi key holder. And that's basically just the keys that I carry whenever I'm at work. Nothing special. And then the last thing on the furthest thing to the right that I carry on my belt would be my phone holder, and it came with my OtterBox case that I carry my iPhone in. Getting tongue twisted, but that's really everything I carry on my belt. And then going into my pockets, I have my Lost Woods knife, which has a seatbelt cutter and window breaker. And then next to that, I have my notebook, my pen, and my extra handcuff key. And that is everything that I carry when I'm at work. So if you like this video, please like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you on my next one.
This guy takes his job seriously. But first of all, I like some of these videos that are showing you people actually doing it. Several videos I could have pulled up, some police officer videos or professional security companies that do kind of like trainings and show you maybe recruiting videos. But these are just average people like us that say, hey, I got a job in security. Look, if it makes you feel more comfortable, if it makes you enjoy your job better, you ever heard the saying, if you look good, you play good. They used to tell us that in football, right? And I do know in operations there are things that make you just feel, but sometimes I think I always have to put the brakes on security guards, because I can pull up every time I'm looking for videos for you guys. I pull up videos of police officers complaining about security guys that just go overboard. So if you out there and your job is to you work at a a 4-story office building after everybody's gone, and your job is there's 2 of you and you patrol the office complex or what have you, and you walking in with all that equipment, if a cop shows up for something, you know, they're gonna laugh at you. So while I'm saying that some of these things, I mean, why is this guy walking around with handcuffs? What? Back to some of the other videos we had, man. When are you even ever going to handcuff somebody? So, you know, I don't know. I'm sitting here. I'm kind of like, I have that mentality, having been a sheriff's deputy, that I look at this guy and just say, well, I mean, what is all this for? But if it makes him feel more safe, if it makes him feel better about his job, you know, as long as he don't use them inappropriately, I guess why not? But it's just, if you're just on some basic job and you dress like that, it just seems way overkill. And not to mention, I bet you that belt weighs 30 pounds. So you walking around all the time, and no wonder he has the inner belt, because his pants are falling down from all the weight from this huge belt that he has around. So anyway, it's to each their own. If that makes you feel safe, you know, again, some companies, they won't allow you to wear handcuffs, because if you do something wrong and you end up handcuffing somebody, there's a good chance not good chance, 100% chance the security company is the one that's going to pay the most money, because the security guard is probably an average Joe like us and doesn't have all kind of money in the bank. When people sue, they go after the people with the money. So how do they protect themselves? As far as the security company goes, not giving you or letting you have equipment, you know, that you can end up hurting somebody, you know. So again, depending on what kind of job you are, because I'm talking about the most of the jobs out there, man. You're talking about hospitals, you're talking about office buildings, you're talking about places that really don't need a lot of hardcore security. But if you're in a job that requires it, then yeah, absolutely, you'd want to have those things. I mean, there's security jobs where you're required to have a gun. So, you know, if you have a gun, then all that other stuff is probably necessary too. All right, so that's the class for today, and we'll do a couple of more videos in this the equipment version of this, or the equipment section of the ETAR. We're going to get really, really in depth in the next one, man. We'll start talking about weapons and tasers and cool stuff. So we'll talk to you in the next class.